You know, in 2025, it felt like the ground literally shifted under Hollywood. This wasn't just one or two scandals. It was a seismic event, a total apocalypse for some of the biggest names in the business. So, we're about to dive into this year of reckoning and figure out the cultural forces that made it all happen.
So this is the big question, right? Why then? Why did it all seem to happen at once? Was it some kind of coordinated takedown? A huge cultural shift? Or was it just, long overdue consequences finally catching up? Well, the answers are in the stories, and we're going to start with a music mogul whose entire empire was put on trial. Sean Diddy Combs. For decades, he built an empire that basically defined hip-hop success. But in 2025, his whole legacy was on the line, in front of a federal jury. What started out as civil suits just escalated, dramatically. The U.S. government stepped in, and suddenly, the stakes were on a whole new level.
And things moved fast. In March, boom, a federal indictment drops. And prosecutors were painting Diddy as this kind of mafia-like figure, using his label as a front for a criminal enterprise. By May, the trial was already underway. And just 2 months later, in July, the jury came back with a verdict that honestly shocked a lot of people.
Okay, so the verdict was a real study in contrasts. The jury acquitted Diddy on the biggest, most serious charges. We're talking racketeering and sex trafficking. But, and this is a big but, they found him guilty on some of the lesser counts, including coercion. So, while he dodged a long prison sentence, this was absolutely not a total victory.
And the fallout? Wow, it went way beyond that criminal courtroom. The sentence came with 5 years of probation, sure, but the professional damage? Devastating. His iconic label, Bad Boy Records, was sold. He was forced out of his media company, Revolt TV. And, maybe most importantly, he's still facing a mountain of over 50 civil lawsuits from alleged victims.
To really put the financial stakes into perspective, Diddy's net worth was estimated at a staggering $1 billion before this whole ordeal. Now, that entire fortune is at risk. There are whispers of potential bankruptcy as all these civil cases move forward. It is just a colossal fall from grace.
But, the year's reckonings weren't just happening in criminal courts. Over in the film world, what should have been a super promising book-to-film adaptation just evolved into this public, high-stakes legal war between its two stars. It really proved that professional feuds could be just as damaging. This thing blew up into a full-on Hollywood civil war, fought with these massive lawsuits. First, Blake Lively sues her director and co-star Justin Baldoni for $250 million, claiming sexual harassment. Then Baldoni fires right back with a $400 million countersuit, saying Lively was the one creating a toxic environment with bullying. These weren't just legal papers, they were public declarations of war.
And the real-world impact was just undeniable. While this legal battle was raging, their movie, It Ends With Us, became total collateral damage. With all the bad press and public boycotts, it only brought in $150 million globally, a certified box office bomb. It just goes to show how much off-screen drama can absolutely poison an on-screen project.
So while some scandals were locked into specific legal battles, others were just a relentless series of chaotic events. And for that, we have to talk about Kanye West, an artist whose entire year felt like a masterclass in brand destruction.
Kanye's year was just unhinged. It started with an anti-Semitic merch line that got pulled almost immediately. Then, like a throwback to 2009, he stormed the stage during a Taylor Swift acceptance speech at the Grammys. He got sued for defamation by Kendrick Lamar, and then he canceled a whole tour after just walking off stage at Glastonbury. It was just non-stop, self-inflicted chaos.
And all that chaos? Yeah, it came with a very clear price tag. The drop in his personal wealth was just dramatic. He's still a wealthy guy, but his net worth plummeted to around $400 million by the end of 2025, a direct result of his erratic behavior and all the corporate partnerships he torched.
Now, it is important to hear the other side of the story, the perspective of those accused. Diddy's legal team, for example, they framed the whole trial as a money grab. They called it a shakedown by opportunists, and that became a pretty common defense strategy throughout the year.
Okay, so those three stories were definitely the biggest, but they were far from the only ones. The sheer number of scandals in 2025 points to a much bigger trend. So let's run through a quick lightning round of some other major headlines.
Gangnam Style icon Psy's office got raided in Seoul over illegal prescriptions. Sydney Sweeney had to fight back against a nasty viral body-shaming campaign. Tyler Perry's career basically stalled after an assault lawsuit from a minor popped up. Even Hulk Hogan was facing a whole new round of backlash over resurfaced slurs. Seriously, no corner of the celebrity world was safe.
So, what does this all add up to? When you look at all these events together, from the courtrooms to the film sets to social media, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. It feels like we're watching in real time the creation of a whole new set of rules for being famous.
If you had to boil this entire year down to just a single word, that word would have to be accountability. Whether it was legal, financial, or social, 2025 was the year where actions that might have been swept under the rug in the past suddenly carried these immense, unavoidable consequences.
And that leaves us with this final question. In a world where every single action can be scrutinized and broadcast around the globe in seconds, what has fame even become? The events of 2025 suggest the price is way higher and the fall is much, much faster. Maybe the biggest takeaway here is that the old walls that protected celebrity empires, well, they're weaker than they've ever been.